G'day, I'm Kama.
And I'm Blowy.
It's the Kama and Blowy Show.
Kama and Blowy, Kama and Blowy, walking and talking. Kama and Blowy, Kama and Blowy.
Good morning, Blowy.
Good morning, Kama. How are you today, David?
Mate, I'm doing really well. It's been raining, but it looks like we may have a little bit of a spell from the rain, but yeah, some big clouds up there, so I've got my umbrella with me. And I've also got this new contraption that I'm hopefully going to get good sound with. So for the past two episodes, I've been using this to capture good sound because the GoPro doesn't quite cut it for audio. But I was carrying my audio recorder in a bum bag, aka fanny pack. But unfortunately, the knobs got turned while I was walking, and so I had to kind of quickly make some makeshift packaging for it before I did this episode. So hopefully there won't be any more issues this time. And before you go on, sorry, I'm at a little spring where really nice clean water's springing up from under the ground. And yeah, perfectly crystal clear.
Drinkable?
Well, I assume so, but there's nowhere really normally they have a little tap where you can kind of fill up your water bottle, but I can't see that here. How about you, Blowy?
Well, first of all, I was just going to say, Swami, if you're watching this, put a comment in what you think of Kama's ingenuity, and maybe even some feedback on what you would do. But remember, he has limited resources and tools, so, but, you know, Swami, if anyone hasn't watched the Swami episode, the Ben Toohill one, was that episode 10, Kama?
That's right, episode 10.
Episode 10, check it out and you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, any advice, Swami, would appreciate it. Today I'm in Footscray. So Footscray is the west side of Melbourne, and it's got a little bit of an artistic side to it. So today on my walk, hopefully I can share a bit of the Footscray culture and some of the artwork that's around here. I'm in an art, like there's a little art centre up here, and I'll show you a bit of street art. And yeah, that's where I'm today. What do you want to talk about today, Kama?
Well, today I really wanted to talk about our first punk concert that we went to together.
Oh, that's a good idea. Now, what year was that?
Oh, this was 1995. So it's I was in my final year of high school.
Yep.
I'm not sure it's a good. I'm going up this little path to this little temple or something, but a lot of this has been washed away, so I'm not sure how stable all this stuff is. It's a real narrow chasm. Whoa! Okay, already I've had a problem with my audio recorder.
Oh no.
Well, no, it's okay, but I just have to be really careful, or it almost tipped upside down. Oh, again. Yeah. I've got so much stuff in my hands because I've got an umbrella and this GoPro. So I'm gonna have to re-engineer it. It's super interesting in this little spot though.
Yeah.
But way up there with these recent rains, these trees are just kind of hanging on by an edge, so I wouldn't be surprised if one of them goes down at some stage.
Can I just show you some artwork, Kama, that I'm walking past now?
Yeah.
There's these big pink things in the trees, and they look like a dunny brush, but they're wrapped around. You can see them there. There's just stuff like this all the way around. It's probably like the island that you used to live on, where there's just bits and pieces around the town. And the bit that I'm walking past here is a communal arts area where people can go in and use the facilities and create art. It's I think it's got some funding from the local council and stuff like that. So and there's a cafe here as well, but it looks like it's shut due to COVID, which was a cool little cafe. They had like couches and stuff in it, and it looks like they fully renovated it, but must have closed down. It was all communal volunteers and stuff. And here we've got a community garden where people can put there's lots of units and stuff around here, so people can come here and put in a few seeds and sow their delights. But back to the topic of our concert. Would you like to start, Kama?
Nice segue.
I don't know where we want to start.
Well, I think getting into punk rock was actually the first step we have to kind of cover. It's not the most interesting story, but basically up until that point, all the music I'd listened to was just whatever was on the radio. I remember listening to when I started high school for Christmas or my birthday or something, I got a clock radio. Just did a big sneeze. Hey, quick question. Have you ever seen anyone?
You there, Kama?
I'm sure you can freeze frame that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just lost you for a second there.
I think someone I heard that little beep beep.
Yeah, me too.
Have you ever seen anyone who looks attractive when they sneeze?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, my dog.
Oh, your dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that good enough answer?
Well, I was actually talking about people, but anyway, that's a side note. I'm going past this street that's interesting because I think it's a 13% gradient, which I think is one of the steepest streets in this area.
That's pretty steep.
It doesn't sound that crazy. I actually don't really understand how they measure them because it's not. I would have thought rather than that 13% gradient that an actual degree of angle would be more useful.
Well, is that not what a 13-degree gradient is?
No, 13%. So I mean, already. Yeah, I'm having issues with this. It keeps kind of turning upside down. I'm gonna have to re-engineer this. No, next time. I'm gonna hold it for the time being. It's already kind of tipped up about 4 times. So, but I mean, this is just one of the small little issues we deal with to bring this show. I mean, first of all, we have to just line up each other and make sure we can be available at the same time, which is probably the biggest challenge.
With the time zones and the, not that the time zones really have much to do with it, because at the moment we're only 1 hour apart, but it will change when daylight savings time kicks in.
That's right. Another challenge, like just before I started this recording, I was going to start a bit further away, but there was someone nearby with a leaf blower that was causing chaos. But generally, I have to say that Japanese streets are extremely quiet. Even in the big cities, it's very quiet for a city of that size. Like you don't hear too much tooting, or the traffic is like a low hum.
Yeah.
And I mean, even on the real crowded trains, it's really quiet.
But yeah, let's talk about how we got into punk rock music. And I think it was from watching videos, our skate videos. They was when I first heard punk music that I can recall. We would watch it and it would have the artist name and the name of the song, which was a great help because we could then go down to the CD shop, and this was back in the times of CDs. It was definitely the CD era, not the tape era, when we got our first albums. But
I'm at another little spring, Blowy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try this water, see how it tastes. Hope for the best. I can see. I mean, it looks perfectly clean, but we'll see.
Well, you can't see microorganisms, can you? Yeah. Tastes delicious.
Yeah, it does, but I got my audio recorder wet. It just fell again.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Bad timing, hey?
Well, I mean, it's my fault. It's also, I've got an umbrella because it looks like it's going to rain, so I'm carrying that as well. This, and it doesn't look too wet, but still.
Yeah.
I should have seen that coming.
You should have.
Oh, here I was all happy with this.
Yeah.
And already, like, what's it been? 10 minutes and I've already almost dropped it in the drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've already had three incidents at least with your audio.
more. Yeah, but going back to these punk music, I've actually listened to a few podcasts afterwards, and with music, it's always an issue for people who are creating videos, because to get the actual rights to use these videos, it's not cheap. Use this music in videos, it's not cheap. And so what lots of these little smaller kind of skate video creators would do was go up to independent record companies and say, hey, we can't pay you, but we can give you exposure. And in those days, like now, there's lots of jokes about paying photographers and exposure and everything. Like, you know, you get jobs and you don't get any pay, but we'll give you exposure.
Oh, great, yeah.
These days with the internet, exposure is not quite the same as what it used to be.
No.
But back in these days, it definitely worked for us anyway, because yeah. And I heard a interview with Pennywise, and they were saying that every time like a video or something like that asked to use Pennywise music, the band would meet and they would discuss whether or not to actually greenlight it. So like Pennywise was at one of the bands that we heard on lots of these early skate videos. And you know, we were paying $30 back then, which is probably like 5 or 6 hours minimum wage to buy a CD. But I mean, we were quite happily paying that, forking out that kind of money for these CDs, which just had such an awesome energy about them. They also had like a bit of an anti-authority kind of feel about them as well. And I just loved it.
We definitely did get our money's worth from our CDs with the amount of rotations that the CDs would have done in our CD players.
Absolutely.
Like, because we didn't have that many, and so we'd just play them on repeat, the album just for hours and hours and hours in our bedrooms, in the car, everywhere. Anyway, I just want to show you this graffiti here. It's Franco Cozzo. He's
I've heard that name.
yeah, he's a famous guy that does furniture, and they do like all this crazy furniture, but someone's done a big mural of him on the back here. So yeah, hope you enjoy that.
Yeah. I love these little, I'm just walking past a nice little tree out the front of a house, but it's just quintessentially Japanese kind of tree. The way, you know, they've been trimmed and they've got little tufts of leaves.
I love it. I love those trees.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Oh. Again, it's turned upside down once more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
I've got to keep a hold on it. So I'm holding my audio in one hand and my umbrella in the other. And I'm going past a house that's been badly damaged. Like a tree has fallen over on top of it during this recent rains. It's crazy. Wow.
Yes. There's some pretty serious rains, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. It's eased off a little bit just now, but that is absolutely nuts. You actually see it.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wonder if anyone was living in it, but that...
In the house, is it?
Oh, a tree next to the house has kind of come up, just uprooted and fallen straight on the tree, so...
Wow.
Earth everywhere. Yeah. But I mean, it looks like a lot of this earth came from across the road again. Familiar story.
Yeah, okay.
Lots of hills here, and it's not kind of strange to live close to these hills, and wow, wires and stuff all over the ground as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can still hear flowing water somewhere. There's a little creek or something. There's still a lot of places here I haven't had a chance to explore.
Yeah.
But look at all these wires. I don't think they're live wires, but they're hanging. Oh wow! Some a utility pole came down as well. A big, yeah, and then wow, it's concrete actually, not steel. Wow, there's been another landslide here. There's just like all this flattened bamboo as well, where they've just holy moly, big gaping hole in the earth that's just come through and flattened this bamboo. It's all bent over, and there's lots of butterflies around at the moment. These are black ones with kind of blue wings.
Watch out for sinkholes, Kama.
Thank you. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, let's get back to the story. So Pennywise was one of these bands that has featured on lots of these skate videos, and we heard they were coming to Australia. And you know, we loved the music, but we're still kind of thinking, wow, punk shows get pretty crazy. But I think, you know, we better go to this show in Brisbane. And I'd talked to lots of people I'd never been to a concert before, except for free ones in the park and stuff like that. But we were talking to people, and you know, they were telling us how expensive these concerts were, and often they were like the price of 2 or 3 CDs. And we were kind of like, oh, that's a bit steep. But then we saw the Pennywise ticket prices; they were quite fair, really, and much less than all these other big names that we'd heard about.
About $30 each, weren't they?
Yeah, and it was an all ages show as well, which meant they didn't sell beer, which didn't bother us because we were all underage anyway. We just wanted to see the music. And I remember looking down at the supporting acts.
You're breaking up a little bit there, Kama.
Oh, okay.
And we've lost him again, but I'm going to keep talking because hopefully he'll come back. There we go, we got him back again. Can you hear me, Kama?
I can.
No, we've lost him again, but...
You can't hear me, hey? I can hear you perfectly.
I can now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the 3 support acts?
Yeah, so the support acts were actually, some of them actually bigger now than Pennywise themselves. So there was Blink 182, who everyone must know.
I was hoping you were going to save them for the last.
Oh, look, let's just get it out there, because the other support acts was Bantha Fodder, and
I thought it was Downtime and Bodyjar.
And Bodyjar. Weren't Bantha Fodder there?
I don't believe they were.
Back up for another one, were they? I don't know. But yeah, Bodyjar and Downtime, hey? And Blink 182. So it was a pretty good concert for our first concert.
We had quite a crew going, didn't we? I think there were probably at least 12 of us, maybe?
Yeah, well, what happened was I bought my ticket early as soon as we found out they were playing and they were doing an all ages. And then in the local street press newspaper, they had a competition to win 2 tickets. And I entered that competition, so did a mate at school, and we both won. And so we had all these excess tickets that we had to try and give to all of our friends. And no one really wanted to go because no one knew the band. Like, they were kind of a minor band and people didn't really care about them apart from us.
Yeah.
It was hard to even give away these tickets, but we were so happy that we were going. And but yeah, I think we gave away tickets to a few friends. I think I still had, I only gave one away, no one wanted the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, the day of the concert came and I was a little bit scared, to be honest, because you know, I'd seen some video clips of punk concerts and the mosh pits were pretty crazy. People like with all spikes kind of kicking and crowd surfing, and it looked wild. So I mean, I was excited, but I was also a bit scared because I was 17, but I was also quite small for a 17-year-old. And it was like, oh, yeah, it looks pretty wild in there. I remember going in there, and back in those days, you could still smoke and stuff inside. So there was this powerful, sweaty, kind of smoky kind of smell. And I just remember seeing kids everywhere, and adults as well. But I'll
just quickly show you some more graffiti here. Some cool graffiti down a little alley here. It's a picture of a man. That's all. I don't know who it is, but... All right, Kama, you can maybe continue.
So anyway, the first band played and the crowd was pretty wild, and I still hadn't gone out into the actual... I hadn't ventured deep into the pit. I'd gone a little way, but not too far. And then Blink came on. They were the second band. So they weren't... Like, they were tiny, and apparently Pennywise had actually known them from back in the States and they thought, yeah, this band has some potential. So I think they kind of organised getting them over to Australia and everything. And I remember they started playing and everyone said, oh, this band's like, they've got some catchy kind of songs and they're playing clean. And I think people did kind of like notice them and say, oh, you know, this is one of those bands. Because you, based on that performance, you went and bought a CD that day, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I did actually. I did. Yeah, straight away. I bought it at the merch store.
Yeah.
Just have a look there. See the guy who's got the backpack on. Or you can't see him now, but you will later. There's a whole crew of sanitary people that are walking around here cleaning the buttons and stuff like that. They've got like a backpack full of sanitizer, and they just go around spraying stuff to make the city COVID safe.
Are they volunteers?
No, I think they're getting paid. Yeah. They're paid by the council. Quick question, Kama.
Yeah.
If you've got a set of steps and an escalator, do you take the steps or the escalator?
Oh, unless I've got like a heap of luggage, I'll always take the stairs.
Yeah, me too. I always take the stairs, just a bit of exercise.
Absolutely. I'm at some little stone memorial here, but what's interesting is that someone's done a donut in front of it. But I don't think it was like I think it was just some heavy machinery turning rather than actually trying to leave a mark.
It wasn't a Redcliffe donut.
No. They do have, they don't, like in Australia we talk about Hoons, and these are people who basically go around in cars and they hot them up and rev their engines and do burnouts and things like that. So hardcore car enthusiasts basically. But here's, I'm walking past a turf farm. So this grass apparently will be sold to golf courses.
Is that where we did the intro for the Kama and Blowy Show?
No, it's not. But I did do it on a similar farm.
Okay.
A little field. They're quite common around here. I see a few of them. Yeah, but in Japan they don't have Hoons as much. I mean, they do have a few, but they don't seem to. Like I remember where we grew up, like it would be a weekly thing down at the 7-Eleven on Anzac Avenue, which was kind of like one of the main streets in the town.
Yeah.
And they would just be doing laps back and forth, and they'd be spending the whole night there. The cops would be there, and Department of Transport doing like surprise inspections on different cars and things like that. But in Japan, what I have seen is bosozoku, and they're kind of guys on motorbikes, and they they really get up to some like mischief. These guys, they will just go through red lights, and the cops kind of chase them, but they kind of end up following them. They don't actually ever catch them because they take their number plates off, and they just taunt the cops, and like the cops aren't going to ram them or anything because this is Japan. So these guys just basically get away with it. But I'm sure in the future they'll be employing drones and things to get these guys and watch where they go.
Oh, for sure. The technology they'll implement will be interesting. Watch this space.
That's right. Anyway, back to the concert. Yeah, so I remember after Blink played, I saw one of the guys, either the guitarist or the bass player, just standing in the crowd watching Bodyjar play. And I was just there, and I just remember looking at him. I said, wow, he's, you know, like if it was a rock concert, a rock kind of musician, like Bon Jovi or something, he'd never be in the crowd like after playing a set. And I just remember thinking like how different it was from what I thought about concerts.
And one of my favourite memories from that concert was going crowdsurfing. I hadn't ever thought about it. I didn't even, like we saw in videos of like mosh pits and stuff, and I was a bit nervous, a bit scared to go in there, being a little timid young man. And I went in there and I didn't know what to do, so I just copied everyone else and had a bit of a mosh, and then went crowdsurfing, and it was the best fun. I was just so sweaty by the end of the night, but and I wasn't expecting the concert to be that much fun, but it was so much fun.
And everyone was so nice as well. Like I remember crowdsurfing and just thinking this is great, but then you get dropped after a little while. But everyone would kind of part and kind of help you back onto your feet and pat you on the shoulder afterwards.
That's right.
It was such a great atmosphere. Like it was a bit rough, but it was also really like there was a sense of unity in there.
There was.
the fact as well that it was like a subculture rather than a huge culture as well made it more appealing as well. It was, yeah, I was hooked. And I remember as well, they have this song called Bro Hymn, which is kind of like an anthem to their fallen brothers who have kind of died along the way. And what was special about this song is when they do it, they invite all their fans onto the stage. And so I got up there and I'm just on the stage with this band playing this song that we already knew really well. And I was just like, wow, does it get any better than this? Like, it was like an incredible moment. And I just felt like I'd reached some kind of point of nirvana or something.
No pun intended. We weren't Nirvana fans back at this stage, were we, Kama?
Oh, I had, like a few years earlier, I'd been listening through to a couple of like Bleach and Nevermind and stuff. So, but I wouldn't describe myself as a Nirvana fan, but yeah. But yeah, anyway, it was an awesome experience, and you know, like after that, we just went to whatever kind of punk concert was on really in the city.
Yeah, and some of the venues that they used to have, like they were really small venues with small ceilings, and people would still be crowd surfing in these tiny venues, and there'd be these bands that became quite popular, but back in the day they weren't really known, and they were in this tiny venue with just a really tiny roof, which is like almost a tiny nightclub, and you're seeing this big famous band there. It's just pretty surreal.
Well, I remember Blink 182 came back, and I think the concert was like $12 or something at Crash and Burn. Like, it was ridiculously cheap. And I mean, that's the only two times I've seen Blink 182. And it was before they kind of got big, so they were still really cheap. But I think towards the second time, they were just after they kind of left Australia, they really started to pick up, and I was just like, I never would have imagined they'd be bigger than Pennywise, because
No, but on that second concert, didn't they play the whole concert with a chipmunk voice?
I don't remember that.
Or maybe that was another concert, because I know they came over and then they played the whole concert with this really dumb voice, like sounded like a chipmunk, and everyone was really pissed off because they just didn't take it seriously.
Yeah,
But I didn't go to that concert.
that would annoy me.
Yeah.
These are turf farms, Blowy. Normally, it's just regular, like really short, well-kept grass, but at the moment it's got all these other tufts of weed grass kind of puffing up here and there. I think all this rain has just been, yeah, it's kind of given all these weeds a new lease on life.
Well, we're down in lockdown still, and there's not that many people, but just when I walked through before the main centre of Footscray, there was quite a few people there. It was, yeah, like not too many, but there's more than I was expecting.
So Blowy, we're doing this on a weekday. Like I'm working freelance now, kind of self-employed, so I just kind of make my own hours whenever I want to. But why are you able to do this walk on a weekday?
Well, I'm actually on annual leave today. I'm working from home now because of the lockdown. We were going to start going back into the office, but yeah, we've been locked down again. So I'm taking a few days annual leave every week because I've got a bit stored up. And so it's a great excuse to get out and film a podcast during the week.
So your job and your company, how has it changed since, say, 6 months ago?
Oh, massive. I used to be full-time in the office, and so was everyone. Well, we do leadership training, and so we have educators who go out on the road, and they will facilitate education in-house and also publicly. And so they can't do that training at the moment publicly. We were starting to get some in-house facilitation happening, but we've had to kind of stop that in Victoria anyway. And so now we're just doing it virtually. Everything's a virtual world now, Kama. We're doing our podcast virtually. We found a way that we can go for a walk together, even though we can't see what each other's seeing until later, which I think is kind of cool. But it's weird, isn't it, how everything so suddenly just changed to a virtual world.
Yeah, and just as well seeing how some companies crumble and some really, like, you know, famously Zoom's shares went right up and business is booming for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and even the people that are using Zoom, like you hear gyms are using Zoom to do their sessions. I was talking to this family at the skate park and they were saying they were doing their Taekwondo lessons via Zoom.
Yeah.
The kids were doing their Taekwondo every week. They have to go in and do their Taekwondo via Zoom. Yeah, so I'm sure like yoga and all those different sports are all done via Zoom now as well. And the kids as well at school over here, they just got announced in Victoria that they're going to be doing learning via Zoom. So that's a massive change, isn't it?
Yeah. Certainly is, mate.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
I've just found this awesome chair, which I think is going to be a great place to end the podcast. It's like a Game of Thrones chair or something, but it's made out of metal and it's like welded and it's pretty cool. But I think that's going to be a place where I'm going to sit down and we can end this podcast.
Okay, you know what to do, Blowy.
All right, thank you very much.
See you later.
Next time, everyone.
Boom.
Boom.
G'day, I'm Kama.
And I'm Blowy.
It's the Kama and Blowy Show.
Kama and Blowy, Kama and Blowy, walking and talking.